Thank you all. I'm going to take a quick second for an aside. Vince has just read off several different steps along my career path. I'm with Lexmark now in the corporate world, or the dark side, as economic developers call us. Before that, I was in the academic world, working with the University of Kentucky, with CETIC, Allison, as he mentioned. And this process has been a real labor of love. We started this process years ago, and it was a 2-year-long process that we started in, I think it was October. And over those 2 years, we did a tremendous amount of work. And it was an incredible opportunity. And now that we are post the formal programming, after the first 2 years of the program, we're about a year out of the program, and we still, this team of folks have really been working hard to keep this momentum building and to keep Accelerate Kentucky working. And the part of the reason that we wanted to invite you here is to invite you to engage with us. This is not something that a group of people can do on our own. I think that the folks from Nova Scotia have really laid that out beautifully, that it really takes partnership. It doesn't take everyone jumping in and being full-time participants, but it certainly takes partnerships. It certainly takes kind of cross-stakeholder participation. So with that said, you know, when I was with the UK, and then before that, I managed an incubator in London, Kentucky, not England, Phil. The piece that often seemed to be missing was the corporate spokesperson. We did lots of activities. We had lots of things going on with risk capital. We had lots of entrepreneurs, certainly. We had government at the table. We had higher ed at the table. But the corporate environment just seemed to be missing. And when we went to Boston, when we went to MIT to start learning, that first workshop that we went to was just a phenomenal opportunity. And we learned so much about how these stakeholders can interact and how dependent they are on each other. And it really kind of opened up our eyes to how important the corporate environment is. So now, about a year and a half ago, March of 2020, great time to change jobs, I started with Lexmark in HR, and I do talent management and organizational development. And I found out about this program that was going on in Lexmark called F2F, and I'm going to explain what F2F is in just a minute. But this F2F thing, as I looked at it and I saw the news internally, I'm like, this is entrepreneurism. It's entrepreneurism happening in a corporate environment. And I got so excited. So I reached out to the guy who managed the program. His name's Adam Zorns. And I said, this just sounds really interesting. Tell me more about it. And he says, great, you're on the steering committee. And so I said, okay, all right, I got some more work to do. So over the course of the past 6-9 months, we've been working on this program called F2F, which had been in existence for quite some time, but it's gone through some evolutions. So I'm just going to be talking about one piece in particular, the Great Kentucky Think-Off. This is an event that we held back in the summer at Lexmark, and I'm going to fill it in. Mike's going to come up after I'm done to kind of talk about his part to play in this program, and how what we're doing at Lexmark can be a bit of a model and an example for other corporations. So again, my name's Luke Ramsay, talent management at Lexmark. Through this program that we held, we pulled in partners, and I'm going to talk about the partners a little bit more clearly in a minute, but one was Black Soil, which is a nonprofit based in Lexington. We also brought in a distillery that you may have heard of called Maker's Mark. They participated in this program, and then Innovation Inc., which is Mike's organization. They were also part of this process. Awesome Inc., based in Lexington, also helped contribute to the management of the event, and I'll talk about that as well. Okay, so F2F. I feel like I need to kind of start big and narrow down and talk about what F2F is before I can really talk about the event itself. So F2F is professional development. It's an organization, it's a program within Lexmark that was designed to help individuals, primarily and historically in the R&D department, spend time working on things that interest them, areas that they needed to learn about, and just basically anything. Your work, your 9 to 5, does not define every piece of your interest areas. And so what F2F became was this great opportunity for people to just start exploring things. Over time, F2F evolved and started to develop these projects. And so people would come and say, I've got an idea. I've got an idea for a product. I've got an idea for an improvement, and I'd really like to work on this. And so people started to kind of become magnetized to those ideas and those projects and work together as a team. It didn't matter where they came from. It didn't matter what their expertise was. There was just a real interest in growing an idea. As F2F continues to evolve, it has really taken on a real key cornerstone element at Lexmark, where people are looking to F2F in a global sense. So we have an F2F event that happens in Lexington. We also have an F2F event that happens in Cebu, Philippines, and also in Calcutta, India. And each of those have a different flavor, but they really have become magnets for innovation. So the history of F2F has been these projects, especially in the more recent history. The projects are the real heart and soul of what F2F is. But as we started to look at this year and say, what could we do? We have seen real success from projects that involve more people, that get other perspectives, and even, dare I say, perspectives outside of R&D. Those are the ones that really flourished. And of course, I'm coming from this background of working with entrepreneurs, working with startups, and I know that that's the case. I've seen lots of businesses that start with an idea, start with one person or maybe a couple people, but they don't have all the skill sets they need. They don't have all the perspectives. They don't have all the expertise and skills. And so attracting people to that project becomes a really, really important piece. So how can F2F, again, with this cornerstone of projects being the heart and soul, attract more people? So we created a series of events. So this visual kind of shows that bar across the top as kind of that ongoing series of activities that are the projects. This is, again, the core piece of F2F. But then across the bottom, we created a series of events that we lovingly call How to Project Good series. So the How to Project Good series are a series of events that have explicitly valuable learnings for anybody, and anybody can participate. So we send out invitations to all people at Lexmark. We say, come and learn about design thinking. All you have to come for is an hour or an hour and a half. You don't have to commit to a project. You just need to come and learn. But it becomes a really, really valuable way to introduce them to the concepts, especially people outside of R&D, into the overall ecosystem of projects. The one I'm going to talk about today is the Great Kentucky Think-Off. So the event itself, we did this event for a couple reasons. One, though, and I would say the primary reason, was to bring Lexmark thinking out of the office and put our brains to work for others. Lexmark is full of really, really smart people, and so we were really excited to be able to get people from sales, from legal, from human resources, all together to work on these projects that have historically been fairly technical. But those people in sales and HR and marketing, they have really, really valuable things to share. Again, we invited everybody. Anybody could come to this event. We didn't limit it to R&D. We didn't limit it to the technical teams. And what happened? Over the course of an afternoon, teams were able to make 90-second pitches to the organizations that I mentioned before. How does that work? So we got registrations from people across the company. We assembled them. We actually put them into teams to make sure that diversity was really present. And so these were people that may not know each other, may have never worked together, but we put them into teams. Then each of the partner organizations, Maker's Mark, Black Soil, Innovation Inc., were able to give a 3-minute pitch of a challenge that they are facing. So something that they are wrestling with that maybe they haven't cracked, maybe it's something that they just haven't had the time to deal with yet. And they gave a 3-minute pitch, and then we gave our folks 5 minutes to ask questions, any question they want to add clarity to the challenge. And that really built on this knowledge that we have already demonstrated and taught about through this design thinking workshop that we had done. So again, learn about design thinking. Then you come to this event called the Great Kentucky Think-Off, and you get to ask the questions, which is a keystone to design thinking. So 5 minutes for questions, and then the teams had about 20 minutes to design a solution for those partner organizations. And then finally, they had 90 seconds to pitch their ideas back. And then of the 9 teams, 3 pitched to Innovation Inc., 3 pitched to Black Soil, 3 pitched to Maker's Mark, and there was a winner for each of those. Mike got to pick a winner for his organization. Jane Bowie from Maker's Mark got to select the best pitch from them. But when it was all said and done, it was fun. We had a blast, and it was a great way to demonstrate that innovation can happen in a corporate environment. I would say to you all that innovation and the corporate partnerships are such a critical piece. It is valuable for a place like Lexmark to be involved in the entrepreneurial community, because guess what? The startups that exist in Lexington are creating really, really smart people. They're creating energy that can feed Lexmark's need. And Lexmark has a ton of resources that can also, in turn, feed and support the startup community. So I'm now going to turn it over to Mike Hilton, who's going to talk about Innovation Inc., and then I think we're going to have a few minutes for Q&A.
Hey, everybody, and thanks, Luke. I'm Mike Hilton. I'm one of the managing partners of Innovation Inc. out of Lexington. Again, Innovation Inc. is the corporate partnership arm of Lexington's entrepreneurship accelerator, Awesome Inc. So in short, we help the corporate world and large established organizations find ways to tap into that entrepreneurial thought to be more innovative, stay more on the innovative edge. I'm from Lexington, didn't grow up there, moved back after college, and I just want to say that the conversations going on in this room and the things that are happening like F2F at Lexmark are what make me excited about the future of this state, the future of entrepreneurship in this state, and the future of our economy and our state's ecosystem. So thank you all for participating. A little bit more about Innovation Inc. Again, we started 2.5, 3 years ago to help established organizations think, act, and work a little more entrepreneurially within their defined corporate structure. A few examples. We spent the last year helping Gray Construction, $2 billion construction company out of Lexington, build their own annual internal accelerator that would identify and develop the next breakout revenue stream for the organization. Completely separate from that, currently, right now, there is an open reverse pitch for the bourbon industry that the state is hosting in partnership with the Cabinet for Economic Development and the Cabinet for Energy and Environment to solve a big latent issue in the bourbon world. We are building the programming to bring all the innovative ideas to one place in front of master distillers and those who run distilleries. And then a great example right here in Bowling Green, we've partnered with our good friend VJ at Logan Aluminum to create some how to think like an entrepreneur content that they could easily embed into existing programming for their developing their emerging leaders. So it looks a little bit different in each place, but to Luke's point, there are some common threads here. And that's what excited us so much about helping F2F and partnering, coming alongside them. Here's why that works. Again, the nuances and the details with every established organization are different, whether it's government, whether it's a university, whether it's a large corporate or a small corporate. The nuances and the details are different, but there are a few common threads that if those threads are there, 90% of the game is won when it comes to innovation. And if those threads are missing, it's dead in the water. These are the linchpins here. And the first one is that there is simply a space to build the entrepreneur muscle, to build that innovative muscle. There is a space where employees can go to get out of the box a little bit, to think differently, to solve problems. And it's great, to Luke's point, if it's project-based, if there's a defined problem to say, go solve this problem. No bad answers. Second thread, that space has got to be sponsored, supported, encouraged at the executive level. Now notice, I'm not saying the executive level has to get in and micromanage it. That's actually a negative. But that space has got to exist and be supported at the senior level. And then it has to drive cross-functional collaboration. Within that space, if you've got people coming together that don't normally come together, focused on a single challenge, iterating ideas throughout the process, the sky is the limit. And when you do that, planting the seed of that next technological S-curve becomes very, very likely. The analogy that we use with Innovation Inc. is that of a swimming pool. Okay, if you drop a swimming pool in a backyard and bring a bunch of people over, they're going to sit next to the pool, they're going to dangle their feet in the pool, they're going to swim laps, they'll do cannonballs, and if you've got kids around, you'll do that that game where you throw the ball and people jump in and catch it at the same time. Tons of ways to use it. But if the minute you put lanes in that pool, the whole dynamic changes. You are immediately dictating the way that that space is to be used. So as the leaders in the room with this conversation, what I would encourage you to do is to build the pool, create the space, bring people to it, and then keep the lanes out of the pool, because you never know what is going to happen, what new idea is going to come to the surface that may be interesting to develop, and you won't even know where it's going to go. Great example of this is a great company in Lexington called Bullard. A couple of months ago, released a brand new product. Bullard is the company that invented the fire safety helmet years ago, or excuse me, the hard hat, years and years ago, 100 years ago. And they just came out with the next groundbreaking product. It's a brand new take on a ventilator. In talking with their head of product development, they'd been developing the technology for over a year and a half, not knowing where it was going to go. And then COVID hit, opportunity opened, and here's this technology ready to plug in. If they put the lanes in the pool, that technology would not have been there and been ready. That's what I have. Thank you.